Hey guys, welcome to Bipolar Boxing. Saturday we got Jack Catterall versus Regis Prograis, 140 pounds, non-title fight. But for a non-title fight, it's about as good as it gets at 140. To start off Prograis 5 years ago, if this fight would have happened, I would have been really excited. Prograis got pop in him. Prograis, he's kind of a loudmouth. He thinks very highly of himself, which is kind of why I like him to put up a halfway decent fight in this fight because the guy's got a big ego. He does not like to get embarrassed, and that already happened to him. It really happened to him twice because that Zarella guy embarrassed him in front of his hometown. I don't know if Zarella won, but that decision was terrible because the one judge gave the fight to Zarella, and this fight, keep in mind, was in New Orleans, which is where Regis Prograis is born. So they gave him 114, 113 for Zarella. The other two judges only gave Zarella 1 or 2 rounds. And it was just like, what are you doing? And then Prograis gets a fight against Haney after that. So Prograis looked like shit in his last 2 fights. And now he's getting another big fight. Hey, shout out to Eddie Hearn for making that happen. Like, that's what a promoter's supposed to do. Get your fighter big fights. But he's not deserving of these fights. All these fighters that when they get these like step up fights or they're fighting a somewhat decent name, it's all about does he get the knockout? Because if he gets a knockout, then he'll get a big fight after this. Regis Prograis didn't do any of that in his last 2 fights, and now he's fighting Catterall. And if he beats Catterall, he's gonna get launched into another title fight. I don't like when that happens in boxing. And yeah, Prograis got a decent record, but he ain't beat nobody in the last, really his whole career. He does not have any standout wins to me. Like Catterall does. Catterall is just, he's a very, very underrated fighter. And you're looking at the guy who probably underrates him the most in the sport because I never saw anything of Jack Catterall that caught my eye when I watched him. I was like, he's decent, decent guy from the UK. There's only a handful of UK fighters that I really think that could fight on at world level, around that weight class. And there's him and Dalton Smith. I always have them Dalton Smith. I think kind of the same way. He's decent. He's decent. Nothing to say that he's great or he can hang with the top guys. But I was wrong about Catterall. The more I watch film on the guy, he's got a great jab. He's got great movement. It's all things that sometimes when you watch boxing, you get lost in the moment and you're you just Richard Dwyer always has a saying called knockouts cause amnesia. And that's for, guys that they might be losing on the scorecards when they get the knockout, or they just looked flat throughout the whole fight. Then they get the knockout, and all you see is on BoxRec, KO round 7 or whatever, and you forget that guy was beating him throughout the fight. So if that knockout doesn't come, that guy was on his way to losing a decision. And the reason I say that is because when you get up to the top level, you don't really get knockouts. You're not going to get knockouts, fighting the other guys in the top 5. It just doesn't happen a lot. So, give me the guy like Catterall who can just hit and not get hit for the whole fight. And Catterall's a very hard guy to beat on points. He stood in there and traded a little bit with Josh Taylor, which he didn't need to do, I don't think. He made the second Taylor fight more or harder for him than it needed to be. But I still think he won decisively. I know some people are saying that was a controversial decision. The first fight was controversial. That fight wasn't controversial at all, except for to Bob Harum and maybe Taylor's family. But Catterall just looks so good. He's so technical. He judges distance. I'm not going to say the best in the sport, but I can't think of too many names that can judge distance and close distance better than he does. The guy is so effing smart. And I just hope that, I hope he gets a good version of Prograis so Catterall can show a little more. He's been showing us a lot, but I honestly think that this is the fight. This is going to be his breakout fight. And before I started this video, I was going to pick Catterall by wide unanimous decision. I think he gets a late stoppage against Regis Prograis. I think Prograis is going to. Prograis, he's a very athletic dude, but like he has to jump into close distance. He jumps in, he throws power punches, he throws overhands. He'll lead with an backhand overhand, and like you're not going to catch Catterall with that stuff. And if you do, you're not going to catch him with a one punch KO. If you do that, he's just going to be able to hold, reset, and now you're going to have to land it again. I don't think Prograis can keep doing that, but those movements that he does, they're very slow twitch muscle movements. So like they take a lot of oxygen out of your muscles when you do them. And throughout the fight, I think it's going to be Catterall moving around, jab, 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 and then Prograis is just going to be annoyed, and he's going to keep going in, winging wide punches, and wide punches is just like I said, it just gasses you out. And Prograis is going to get so frustrated, he's going to get gassed, and then he's going to get picked apart. And I think around like I'm going to say round 9. I think Catterall gets to him and knocks him out. I think by round like 7 or so, he starts breaking Prograis down because the power is always going to be there for Prograis. He's got power. Catterall just knows this guy can't land on me, and now he's getting frustrated. Now he's forcing it. Now he's looking for the knockout, and Prograis is going to have to open himself up because Prograis does not want to get embarrassed again. Like that's the one thing I love about ego fighters. Like Prograis got an ego on him. Like I love Catterall. He's a very down to earth guy. He seems like Prograis does not seem like that dude, and Prograis just does not want to get embarrassed. So the whole fight, he's going to think, all I need to do is land one. All I need to do is land one. All I need to, and then you're either going to get knocked out or lose a wide decision. That's the way I see this fight going. Is Prograis just being so annoyed with Catterall because Catterall looks like he should be a guy that you can beat. If you're a top 3, 4, 5 guy in that weight class, you should be able to beat Jack Catterall, and I don't think you are, and I don't think you can. And Jack Catterall is just very underrated, and it's just I'm glad that us as a sport, as boxing, didn't forget about Jack Catterall after he lost to Josh Taylor that first time. That was a bullshit decision. It's the only fucking loss on that guy's record. That sucks for that guy. But I'm glad, like, I think Eddie Hearn's his manager. I'm glad Eddie kept getting him big fights. He kept him in there. He kept getting him names to help him grow here in the United States. Get him Jorge Linares. Let me tell you, people in the United States don't know that Jorge Linares is like a 130-pound guy moving up to one. He's jumping 2 weight class. They don't know that. They just know who Jorge Linares' name is. So Jack Catterall dominates Linares. It gives him another name on his resume. And the guy just keeps on winning, and he looks really good doing it. Like, that's how you should be building fighters. And I'm just glad we didn't forget about him after that loss. Like, some of these guys, like, who's that guy that lost to Barboza a couple of months ago? Sean McComb, I think his name was, from Ireland. He lost to Barboza, and he won, I think it was a 10-round fight. He easily won at least 8 of those rounds. At least 8 out of 10 rounds. They didn't give him the decision. They robbed him here in the United States. And I don't know who that guy is fighting next, but I know who Barboza's fighting next, and that's Jose Ramirez. And I think it's the co-main event of one of the Turkey Al-Sheikh cards that are coming up. It might be on the undercard of Fury versus Usyk, like the co-main event. It's a fucking joke. But yeah, like we forgot about Sean McComb. That was his life, man. That's his career right there. And same thing with Catterall against Taylor that first time. Like, dude, Taylor was at the top. He was a pound-for-pound guy at that time. And Catterall went and showed it all. And then, after these bad decisions happen, like, we as boxing fans, like, we type our shit on the YouTube comments and stuff, and, like, that was BS, that was BS. And then we just kind of forget about the losers in these matches. Catterall has been the same fighter ever since that happened. That fight didn't damage him. It didn't hurt his confidence. If anything, it helped him. He turned that loss into a positive, and he's as good as he ever looked in his last couple of fights. That fight against Taylor was arguably just, I think it was more dominant than his first fight. But it just like I said, it sucks to have bad decisions in boxing. We're not going to get a bad decision here. It's out in the UK. Yeah, sometimes they screw fighters out there, but that happens all over the world. But the point I'm trying to make is like, this fight's not going to be like a back and forth thing where it's like, oh man, I don't know who to give that round to. Like, dude, if Prograis shows up and he's the old Prograis and Catterall has a down night, yeah, we could see something stupid happen. But like, if that's the case, like Prograis might come and he'll probably knock him out. I don't think the decision would be close either way. If Catterall comes and does what we know he can do, he's going to win a wide decision on points or a late stoppage. I just don't see Prograis like winning that many rounds to make it a controversial decision or anything like that. So there's going to be no crying after this fight or anything like that from United States fans. There's going to be none of that. And I'm rooting so hard for Catterall in this fight. It's a good fight, just in boxing terms. It's a good fight to be made. But yeah, just give me Catterall. I'm going to say KO round 9. Good undercard on these fights. I love watching those. They're like 20, 30, 40, 50 to 1 favorites. But like, Pat McCormack, that Junaid Boston guy, one of the McGrail kids is fighting. Whoever that McGrail is, I'm sure it's Peter McGrail or Joe McGrail's fighting on there. And Campbell Hatton versus that Jimmy James Flint or whatever the fuck his name is. That's going to be an awesome fight. That fight's going to pick off. It's going to be round. I think they fought 10 rounds last time. It's going to be round 11. It's going to start off. It is going to be a banger. I think I read a headline the other day that Campbell Hatton's training with Ben Davidson. That's kind of cool. I love Ben Davidson. I know he was trained by Matthew Hatton, his uncle, but yeah, he's trained by Ben Davidson now. Ben Davidson will be in there to teach him a little bit more of the sweet science because Campbell Hatton doesn't have a lot of pure boxing skill or talent to him. When you're talking about, like, I'm saying, like, could this guy be a world title fighter someday? I don't think he can. I'm not trying to shit on the guy because of I'm not trying to compare him to his dad or anything. Just, if I was looking at him as a prospect in the sport, I don't think he's that good. But the kid's got heart. He's been in a lot of tough fights already. I've watched the kid's whole career, and he's already been in a lot of tough fights where they're not trying to give him hard fights. They're trying to give him people that'll make him work. And there was a couple of controversial decisions he had in his first few fights. And, but the kid always comes to fight. He didn't quit against Flint. I thought there was a few times where I was like, man, Campbell might be done. And then he came back against Flint. And a lot of those rounds, they were very competitive, but Flint just did a little bit more. And, but hey, Campbell Hatton, he's the favorite in this one. And I'm going to bet him again. I bet him in that first fight. I'm going to bet him again in this one. And because that Flint guy, like, he's had a fight since then, and he lost to some guy I never heard of before. But I'm just thinking, like, that was Flint's, like, Super Bowl in his first fight, and he did great. I just think Campbell Hatton will get better, and Flint will still be the same, if not a little less. And I think Campbell Hatton's going to win a decision in that one. But just a good fight, a good card. It kind of sucks that it's going on the same time as the UFC. But hey, I'll be there watching every single one of these fights. And I'm trying to think of anything. Oh yeah, William Carroll is also fighting on that card too. So he's another prospect I want to keep my eye on. It's just for some reason every time I watch his fights, I know he's only like 1 or 2-0 or some shit like that, but like, he always looks like he's 3 or 4 weight classes above the guy he's fighting, and but he looks good, and he's gonna have his brother in his corner, I'm sure, and it'll be a nice little card. We'll get to see some prospects. We'll get to see a great fight in Campbell Hatton versus Flint, and then you got the main event. Just Catterall, just keep winning, dude. You ain't got to do nothing to impress nobody. You've already done that in the past. You're continuing to do it. You do not have to knock this guy out, but I think you will. Like, I don't think Catterall's going to be looking for the knockout. I think this fight's going to be easier than he predicted it to be, and he's going to realize that in 4 or 5 rounds, and he's going to start breaking Prograis down by like round 6 or so, and get him out of there by round 9. That's what I see happening. Let me know who you guys think's going to win, and let me know who you guys think Catterall fights after this. I would love to see him versus Haney, and that's a very easy fight to make with Eddie Hearn. I know like him and Haney are kind of going back and forth, but like that would be a very easy fight to make. And I think Haney, like, if you're looking at some of the other fights that are out there, like, this may be the easier guy, or at least I'm sure that's the way Haney feels. This might be one of the easier guys because when you come back, you're gonna have to fight one of the big dudes, and I don't think he wants the like Teofimo Lopez or anybody like that. Maybe like that Liam Paru guy if he even gets past his next fight. But Catterall Haney will be the fight to make after this. So let me know who you guys think would win that fight because that is a like I love the sweet science of the sport. That's my wet dream. That fight right there. There ain't gonna be no knockdowns, no knockouts, no nothing. It's just gonna be a technical boxing chess match. But it'll be like a very exciting fight for somebody like me. But yeah, have a good night, guys.